システムビデオデータプラス60。プラスの噂は本当よ。It's a Sony.
Welcome to Stereosphere's customer support. Your number in the queue is 5. We appreciate your call and thank you for choosing Stereosphere, the health features of elevator music. Your number in the queue is 5. Your number in the queue is 5.
What's up, hackers? Welcome to Chill Code. My name is Taggart. And tonight, I am going to possibly become the Joker. I'm not really sure. I am going to be going back into battle with a longtime foe, which is Packer. This is going to be a much more kind of ops sort of stream. We're not going to be hacking anybody, other than maybe ourselves, in the sense that we're going to be trying to make a thing work. So let me catch you up. We have ourselves an enterprise server that is running Proxmox, and that's what we've been using for our lab stuff, and it works great, except for Windows machines in particular. What I want to really have is the dream is to automate the spin up and breakdown of lab environments so that I don't have to treat my VMs as pets. I can treat them as cattle, and I can modify them as I see fit. So like the last part of this chain is working really well, which is Ansible to manage post-deployment setup. That's working really well. SSH everywhere, and Ansible playbooks and roles to manage what's going on there. What's working okay is creating VMs. Right now I'm doing it kind of manually from a template, but the template itself is time locked for Windows because it's from the eval license, right? What I want to do is be able to pull that from a ISO straight, build it fresh whenever I need it, and then create a new template as I need to. To do that part of it, I need Packer. And Packer is this unbelievably finicky technology from HashiCorp, the same folks who do Vagrant and Terraform, by the way, which I forgot is also supposed to be part of the process, where once we have all of this working, I'll feel confident enough to use Terraform to build out lab instructions so that you give Proxmox the Terraform instruction and it will build the whole lab for you. That's kind of the plan. But in order to do that, first I need Packer to successfully build templates. Now, I have this working for Linux okay, at least for Ubuntu. I have this working okay. But with Windows, it's a little bit of a harder situation because of the way that Windows does automated builds. And that's the point, right? I need it to be automated. And Windows does have a way of doing that. If you're unfamiliar with that, let's bring up that Windows auto unattend.xml. If you provide Windows with this file called an answer file, it can automate the setup of Windows. Use an existing answer file or create your own with the Windows System Image Manager. Save the file as auto-unattend.xml on the root of a USB flash drive. On a new PC, insert a Windows installation USB flash drive, kind of like what we're doing with the disk, right? As well as the flash drive that contains auto-unattend.xml, and then boot the PC. When no other answer file is selected, Windows Setup searches for this file. So it's looking for this thing. So if we have all of our other steps put together, all else being equal, what needs to happen is when Proxmox starts up a new virtual machine, right, it needs to have two disk images mounted. Disk image 1 is the Windows install disk. Disk image 2 is this ISO that has the auto-unattend.xml in it. Okay? That's kind of the basics of this. And then this is what one of those files looks like. This is what it looks like. We have disk configurations, partitions, we're doing two partitions here. I don't see any reason why we would mess with this. And then setting up the language. I'm not messing with any of this if I don't have to. And then we set up a username and password for this thing to log into. There's the administrator password. That should be SecLab, shouldn't it? And in theory, this should work out. Although, I'm curious if maybe my problem is that the SecLab user is what I should be using. Yeah. Okay. And this is the Packer file, the HCL file that we're using. Now, I know that you can see like a username and a token, but this is internal for my server, so I'm not too worried about that for you. So Autodoor, always asking me to turn down the music. Better? Alright. How about now? It's down at 9%. All right. And so the way that Packer works is that it should automate the stand-up of the VM, and we've defined, cores and memory here, and base SecLab Windows server. We'll describe it that way. And we have network adapters, and the disk size is actually a little tiny. Let's make it 50 gigs. And I have commented all this out because I shouldn't need it anymore. I don't think. I could be wrong about that. So what's supposed to happen is that Packer should be able to take this file and then this other ISO file, which I need to create again, and create the auto unattend mount and make this run. And I'm pulling all of this information, by the way, from this blog here, from Hold My Beer Security. Oh, don't worry, Sorador. I'm just messing with you. It's totally fine to ask to turn the music down. I want you to be able to hear what's going on. Now, this blog post also goes a few extra steps that I will not be doing. It uses HashiCorp Vault to manage secrets. I am not going to bother with that. Although it is interesting that it's using the VirtIO driver. And that might be something to think about. Because we know that VirtIO has been a problem in the past. Although it shouldn't be for Windows Server. Because we've had that before. What do I want? Yes, just the ISO 185. I'll download this just in case. Success. Hello, Volley. So, absent using Vault or anything like that, we're going to move on to this part where we have to compose the Windows build for Packer. And here we're converting the auto unattend XML to the ISO. This is the first step in order to get this thing working. So I have my auto unattend.xml. I'm hoping it's right. There's no way to know really other than trial and error at this point. But it looks okay. And so I'm going to do this make ISO fs JLR label CD ISO level 4 auto unattend.iso and then the input directory. So essentially, let me left screen this and let me get my terminal over here. We're going to do win server. Right, perfect. So we'll do make isofs. Looks like I've done this before. Thank you, fish. Level 4, auto unattend.iso, and we're going to do scripts. Okay. And I just kind of want to like definitely stuff in there. So I just wanted to check that the ISO was made correctly, and it plainly was. So the ISO is created, and I just need to upload this thing to Proxmox, which I can do very easily. I will full screen this again and head over to our LVM. Nope, wrong. Go over to here and upload this ISO image. auto1attend.iso. Cool. Upload. You know what I should have done? I actually want to give it a, what does it want? A SHA-256? Yeah. To verify it. And let me give it one. Okay. It liked that. And I'm curious. Well, no, we changed some stuff, so the hash will be different. So let's replace that hash. So you can see how we're mounting the ISOs. There's this additional ISO files directive in here. And I think we're ready to test this out. So the way that we do that is we're going to kind of bring this over here and watch what happens. So packer config, or packer validate. Yeah. Strong password. It's an API token which Proxmox creates. Proxmox user permission management is a little bit funky. But so if we run packer build here, we should be able to see what happens. And this is going to fail, I think. I could be wrong, but this is essentially what I was doing before, and it was failing miserably. So we see a VM try to get created. And we got an error, and then it shut down. So what was this error? Local Win server auto attend ISO does not exist. So I was trying to mount something wrong. Yep, that's right. This file name was wrong. At least that's an error that we can fix, right? That we can see, and that it wasn't any good. And that was the only error we saw, which is good. We didn't see any permission errors for the token or anything. And in case it wasn't clear, we're communicating with Proxmox over the API. This is on our local network. And in kind of a weird recursive or meta situation, this jump box that I'm on is actually on the VM that it's trying to configure. Or this VM is on the hypervisor that it's trying to configure. Okay, we're going to stop this job. And we're going to just stop this and remove it. Yeah. Quit power down. Failed. Can't lock file. Right. This is what we were getting before, where once we initiate an API job... Oh, I gotta kill this. Canceling build after receiving interrupt. That's the problem right there. I might have to go into the shell and forcibly remove that thing. There we go. Okay, so good note. Important safety tip. Thanks, Egon. If we start the build from Proxmox, we have to end the build from Proxmox. From Packer. If we start the build from Packer, we have to end the build from Packer. Don't try to do it from here. Okay, so let's try that one more time now that we have the right file name. See if anything better happens. Okay, 115 comes back up. And then see, starting, stopping. What do we see in the syslog here? We see... Session opened. That's just the syslog. That's not really the... Here we go. Is our task history. Let's look at the configure here. It mounted the auto on attend. Ran the start. And then, okay, error converting VM to template could not stop, can't lock file, got timeout. Provisioning step had errors, running cleanup provisioner if present, stopping the VM. So the error was that we couldn't lock the file. Hey, Ginge. But here's the thing. The build's finished, but no artifacts were created. And this thing is still up and running. Right? Is this doing anything? Notice that auto on attend is mounted, as is the local ISO. Now it doesn't have a SCSI control, or no. That's wild. Why is it that? It should be the vert.io SCSI. Let's look at our config for the disk and see if we can do something about that. Disk size. To do that, we need to go to Packer Proxmox and look at the provisioner documentation. Proxmox. What are we doing? We're doing Proxmox ISO. Build a new image. Yes. Perfect. So things that we can do with this. So I want to see our disks. Type. Perfect. So type. Defaults to SCSI, except it didn't, right? Now, the other problem that we saw, in addition to the disk issue, is that it started the VM and then it stopped it right away, as though there weren't anything to do. And that's troubling to me. Like, maybe I have to wait. I have to enable the boot wait to force it to wait. Maybe that's true. I don't need a boot command. But I don't want it to stop the VM, because if Packer thinks that there's no configuration to do. To give you an idea of what the counterfactual for this is what we do with the Ubuntu machines. With Ubuntu, look at this boot command. It's pretty stupid, but this is what you have to do to get this to work. So you actually, I have it set up here because rather than guess for how long to wait before hitting spacebar to hit the like special setup, I'm basically going to watch this thing, hit spacebar, and then let this do its job in 20 seconds. And look at what it's doing. It is, I have to manually enter these key commands here to backspace out of the grub commands that are in there for the boot, and then have it re-enter these. To set up the initRD, set up auto install, and then set up the source for the auto install data, right? Which Packer will set up for me. But I have to I have to set this up to do that. Now, this is how I do it for Ubuntu because it works this way. Unfortunately, Windows does not, so I can't really give it a boot command. I tried in the past, like I tried to do this in hard mode where I was like forcing the installer to walk through the whole process, and it's just too finicky. It's just too finicky. It's the like wrong way to do it. The right way to do it is to use this auto on attend, and I want to make this work. So far, no luck. And let's go back to our blog post here. See if there's anything that I'm missing. We've got the ISO file. Yep. The Packer build. And it says retrieving additional ISO, trying auto attend. See, we're not seeing retrieving additional ISO. Starting HTTP server on port 8879, waiting for WinRM to become available. Do I need to do post-provisioning steps? Is that the problem? Which, if so, is fine. I thought I had. Here is I don't think this is Proxmox specific, but this is a Packer Windows template that I can use to these are answer files. Okay, I'll just take this like Windows 2016.json here. I want to see what it's doing. Post processors. No. Provisioners. So it looks like it is doing stuff here for provisioners, and I think that's what I need to do. Is I need to give it something to do afterward. And if we look in the packer here, you can see we've got the build instruction, but then there's a provisioner inside of it as well. So we're going to give this a provisioner. And I believe there is such a thing as a PowerShell provisioner, right? Or just execute command. Where are provisioners? How's everybody's week going? There is a PowerShell. Oh, I'm chilling, Zen. I knew this was going to be a bit of a maul today. I knew that going into it, which is fine. PowerShell. I have, like, nothing that I need to do. Actually, that's not entirely true. I do have stuff that I need to do. I technically need to enable SSH. You're writing an XOR encoder in C. Huh. Huh. So you're doing a lot of bitwise operations, I presume, Ginge? Thank you. Let's try running one of these. Are you making some ROP challenges? Wow. Okay, now that we've given this thing something to do, I'm hopeful that it'll, like, wait a little bit and allow that to happen. Now, okay. This machine hasn't stopped, though, because it couldn't lock the file, right? Okay. And that was my user token trying to stop it, and it couldn't lock the file. All right, let's stop it ourselves and remove it. That appears to have worked. By the way, if you can hear like something weird in the background, I apologize for that. We have gusts of like 18 miles an hour here in LA today, and it's just messing with all the stuff that I have outside. What app gives you that cool Kali UI? This is not Kali Linux. This is KDE Neon, which is why it looks this way. Remove, please. Yeah. That is because this is not... And in fact... you just reminded me I wanted to do something to make it a little bit desktop effects. Windows Management. Task Switcher. Alt-Tab. I do not want Breeze. I want thumbnails. Yep. Thank you. That's how I want that to be. Very good. Apply. Ah, much better. That is how I want my task switcher to be. Desktop effects. What kind of desktop effects can I do? Track mouse. Desktop grid. No wobbly windows anymore, unfortunately. They also used to have the desktop cube, which I miss. It was stupid, but it was fun. Slide back windows when another window is raised. That's cute. All right. That's what I wanted, because that side Alt-Tab was driving me crazy. That's how Alt-Tab should look. Okay. Let's give this run another try. See if this does anything different. Off you go. Wow, that didn't work at all. List of strings required. Oh, interesting. Array of strings. Oh, yeah. So it is. All right. We'll just do that one and see what happens. Okay. How are we doing, Starbase? All right. 115 is up. It's already starting to provision with PowerShell, which is insane. Why isn't it waiting? But also, plainly, this thing is not picking up the auto unattend. Well, let's look at the hardware here and see if our driver is correct. No, it's not. Look at that. We changed that, didn't we? We changed it to vert.io? Yeah, we did. And yet, it's still showing as a SCSI controller here, which is unfortunate. Oh, wait, no, my bad. I'm looking at the wrong thing. Look, our hard disk vert.io here is 50 gigs. So that's correct. Starting VM. And this is closer to what we would have expected from the output we saw, right? Waiting for, no, see, it says waiting for WinRM to become available. Should I have used PowerShell? Packer runs PowerShell scripts. It assumes that the communicator in use is WinRM. Yeah. And I do have WinRM stuff in here, right? Yeah, I do. WinRM username, WinRM password. This should be waiting for WinRM. I don't know why it's not. Let's see what's happening over here in Starbase. So not much. Am I missing something here? The product key must match the Windows edition you intend to install. For more editions, see work with product keys. So I'm trying to install Windows 2019, right? Windows 2019. I think this is where I pulled the key. Or not. Oh, no, it wouldn't be in here. It would be in the auto, in the answer files. Server 2019 server data center. Do not uncomment the key element if you are using trial ISOs. Ah. Well then. Let's kill this. And, because we are using trial ISOs. I was wondering about that part. And it also showed something like, we'll show UI. This is in the wrong spot. Right, this was, I made this from the Windows Server 2019 answer file generator. But it's like, seems like it's in the wrong spot. Do you think maybe this Windows AFG is not trustworthy? Yeah, this is what I tried to set up. Well, I'll tell you what. Why don't we take this answer file and use it as our base, and we'll clean it up as best we can. Just kidding. I don't think I want to do that. I mean, maybe if it turns out that's the problem. I wish we could get some sort of indication that that was the problem. Great. Windows System Image Manager. Yeah, I know. But you have to... This is like a whole thing. Oh, Microsoft. Oh my god. This is like one of those recipes where it's like, here's my entire grandparents' life story and then we'll give you the recipe at the end. This is much shorter. Interestingly. Right, and we don't need the product key if we're doing this. And then, here we go. Value. seclab123. Administrator is what it has set up here. Fine. And we don't have configure VM. So we can do WinRM quick config. And actually, let me look that up to make sure that there's a way to do that non-interactively. Seems like yes. It says when the tools place make these changes. WinRM, quick config, non-interactive. There we go. Dash quiet. Hooray! I was hoping that was true. All right, so dash quiet. Nerloy, this is not Kali. This is KDE Neon. A lot of folks are asking about that. Yep, this is KDE Neon. So I'm using the Plasma desktop, and it's Ubuntu 2004 under the hood. How to create. Looks like we have some good details here. The other problem with Packer is that very recently it underwent this massive change where now it uses this format called HCL for its files as opposed to JSON. And so a lot of the older examples that you'll find online use JSON, and you kind of have to translate one to the other. It's not the hardest thing, but there are some differences, and it's kind of a pain. Okay, so we're gonna delete this auto1attend.iso. And create partitions. Primary. This thing should be 5 or 50, right? Create partition, add order 2. Boot. And then to system. I think that's right. Oh, XML, you're the worst. Key image name. if we need that. Install from. Install 2, disk 0, partition ID 2. Uh-oh. Create. Oh, this is megabytes. I see. I see what's up. That's the bootloader. Got it. got it. So we are installing to partition 2. Cool. And we'll show UI on error, right? Is what we want for that, just like we had above. Yes. Not Central. Pacific, please. Run synchronous tools. vmtools.cmd. Oh, I don't know what this is. Hopefully there's something in there. Other than that, I think we're good to go to try to do this again. You see what I mean? Oh, nope. You see what I mean about this being a huge pain, though, right? And what's supposed to be the payoff is eventually we'll be able to do these automated builds that are really nice. But until then, oh my god, is it a slog. But hopefully you can learn from my suffering. All right, we've changed up the answer file. We've given it a command to enable WinRM. But we're not, for whatever reason, this thing still doesn't think that it needs to wait for WinRM to be enabled, which is confusing. Hey, Orbital, thank you for the gift sub to Soradador. All right, starting the VM. Then it says provisioning with PowerShell, but, like, it's not yet. But the thing with Packer is that it's going to constantly try to connect, as I understand it, over and over again. So, let's see, what do we see for hardware? Yeah, 50 gigs. The ISO's mounted. I would love to see some indication that this is working. Yeah, but is it? I'm literally doing a Google image search to see if I can learn what this thing looks like when it's auto-installing. Oh. These are not helpful. Oh, I should have done. Ah. Oh, look at that. We actually got confirmation. Windows cannot apply the unattended answer files disk configuration setting. Cool. Fine. Let's learn more about that. Oh, wait. Actually, I don't have to go anywhere. Answer files overview. There should be a... I guess it's the setup reference, huh? This configuration. There we go. Oh boy. That's it? Okay, not the best documentation I've ever seen. Disk configuration. So, disk. And then create partitions. Presumably, the create partitions was the problem here, right? So, let's go to disk. Disk. Disk specifies the disk settings to add or disk is a list item type in each. Yeah. Disk. Disk configuration, first hard drive. Disk ID 0. Right. Disk configuration. Disk. WCM. Add. Disk ID is not present for some reason. Oh no, there it is. Disk ID 0. Oh, is that because of the order that these things are mounted in? Brought it down. Let's try that again. So we're gonna do it with disk ID of 1. And let's just make sure that the size directive also makes sense, because that's something that looks like could go wrong here. Create partitions. Create partition size. Size in megabytes. To fill the available space on the drive of the primary partition, use the create partition extend setting. Do not set create partition size, which is exactly what's happening. So 250 meg bootloader and then primary partition. So I think the disk ID is the problem. I think that it's mounting the first ISO. So I'm hopeful that we're making something like progress. Maybe. Let's remove this auto unattend. Let's upload the new one. And get the SHA. Put that in our Packer config. Okay. Okay. Coming over here. 115 is up. Now, the other thing that I'm hoping to get to tonight, if we don't, we don't. But what I'm hoping to get to tonight is a little bit of WTFBins work, because we have a new WTF bin that's been waiting for a while, and I've been waiting to add it because there's a feature I want to add to WTFBins where the database can take Markdown, so that I can add rich text to the card, and that's as simple as adding the View Markdown plugin or module, but I need to do that and then use it to render the description of the WTF bin. So that actually shouldn't be too tough, but I want to make it happen, and then that'll make it easier to do good rich text in WTF bins moving forward. That was something I was interested in, and then that'll be a good step before migrating to a proper API and database, which I know that I need to do as well. Okay, let's go back over to Starbase. Setup is starting. And by the way, let's look at our hardware right now. No, it is still disk 0 though, because these are IDEs. I might have screwed that up. Well, we'll find out. Probably should have just done first available. Let's try standard evaluation, desktop experience. So again, Windows could not apply the unattend answer file's disk configuration settings. Okay. And then down it comes. We'll let this stop itself. Okay. Let's go back to our disk configuration. Create partitions. Because create partitions has just like create partition and then disk has the disk ID. Let's learn about disk ID. Disk ID specifies the identification number of the disk to configure. Right, so the first disk should be correct. Let's take a look at this and see what could be wrong with it. Create partitions. So we create a 250 meg partition. Order is 1. And then we create an extend. Create the partitions. Then we modify them. We're formatting them. The first one is formatted as NTFS. And it's labeled bootable. Good. And then and second one is also labeled as NTFS and labeled as system. Will wipe disk is true. Disk configuration. I'm not seeing what's wrong with this. Install 2? Yeah. It's picking up the auto unattend file, but it's not liking the disk configuration. And I cannot see what could be wrong with this. Does anybody have any thoughts? Oh, wild. So it turns out I actually did install the Windows system image manager. Are you using EFI or BIOS? That's a good question. Presumably, so I don't get to choose that, VTCN. The installer does. Presumably, it's using an EFI. But by the way, we're not at the point where that should matter, right? Because we're just talking about disk partitioning. So either it can't read the disk. Oh. No, I think I know what it might be. It might be the we'll play with this if we need to, but I just realized what it might be. If the VirtIO driver isn't working, because we know that was true before, if we change this to SCSI, I wonder if we have a different result. So let's go back to Proxmox builder disks. Type can be SCSI, SATA, VirtIO, and yeah. Because it never, the blog post mentions download the VirtIO driver, but then it never mentions what to do with it afterwards. Packer's a cool tool. You work with it every day. I don't understand how. I gotta tell you, I hate this thing. It's so finicky. I understand its value, which is why I'm trying to make it work anyway, but oh my god. What are you, VTCN, what are you building to? What kind of target are you building to? Are you making, like, Vagrant boxes or AMIs? Like, what is your build target? VMware, okay. Ah, those licensed softwares. Okay, let's try it with SCSI. What's cool about that is I don't have to change up the ISO. I'm looking at the Windows System Manager at the same time, and it's like, that's a whole new thing. I need a .wim file, which I don't have. Yeah, Windows Imager catalog file, which I do not have. So we'll wait on that. Okay. With the SCSI driver, do we do any better? No, we don't. You think we need to change the BIOS up? That's not something listed here. You can extract the WIM from the ISO if you need it. Oh boy. Open communities deploy. Okay. I can do that. Alright, I do have DISM here. If the VM is set to use EFI, then you'd have to add the EFI system partition to your auto intent. It's simple, just use BIOS. The VM, I mean, I haven't made this change before VTCN, and I've used BIOS on others. Like, for example, without any changes, like, let's look at the WinServer template that I have, right? And it's working with the BIOS. So I don't think that's the issue. Incidentally, by the way, it's also using the VirtIO. So that shouldn't be an issue either. I suspect the problem resides somewhere in the answer file. So if we need to use the system image manager to make this happen, then that's the way it's going to have to go. To that end, I'm gonna I don't want that. Oh, it's just in the ISO? There's nothing special there? It's just in the ISO? Well, I have the ISO here. Where is it? Install.wim. Ah. Well, would you look at that? Cool. Thank you for your help, by the way, VTCN. This is incredibly helpful. I feel like I'm making more progress than I have on this for a minute. What an utter ass ache, though, compared to how easy it is to do with Linux stuff. I understand it's because licensing and everything. But seriously. Anonymous Cheerer, thank you for the 1 bit. Every bit is appreciated. Struggled for months with getting Packer working how I want it. Yep. I feel like that's what happens, right? You sweat it out until you get it working, and then you just like never touch it again, right? That's interesting, though. I gotta update these images too because they're these are reaching end of life. Actually, 1909 is end of life, right? And 20H2, I think, just hit end of life. By the way, this is not related to anything, but did everybody hear the big news about Linux today? If not, check this out. NVIDIA. Yep, open source drivers for NVIDIA. Cheese Grater, thank you for the follow. Big deal. I'm very excited about this. If you have tried to run NVIDIA GPUs in Linux, you know what a struggle it's been. And so the idea of first-party support in the kernel as a kernel module, right, is so big. Very excited by this concept. All right, let's make this answer file then. New answer file. Yeah, I'll open a Windows image now. Let's see. Hyper-V. This is server standard. Yes. You cannot find the catalog. You must have a valid catalog. Okay. Yes. Cannot obtain read-write access. You must have read-write access to the Windows image file in its containing folder. Do I not? Let's try that again. Oh, forget that. Read only. There we go. All this just to make an answer file. But I guess this is what it takes. Should probably put one of these together for Callie, too, at some point. This is technically a Git repository, but I've been keeping it private because it's not ready for prime time. But eventually what I want to do is release all this as a Git repo so that folks can, if they want to use this with Proxmox. I even started to play around with doing some of this with Hyper-V, but it was too crazy. That is going to take a few minutes, isn't it? All right, well, why don't we pivot? The second I say, oh, let's go do something else, it starts changing. Of course it does. I think I'm still going to bring up the Neon VM. This is a local VM rather than one running in the lab. And this is my dev machine. It's still KDE Neon. It's still going to look the same. Standard config across all my stuff. That's the way to do it. I will keep an eye on this. Out of here. Go away, Firefox. Fire up Brave. Fire up Terminator. Fire up Tmux in here. I don't need the eBPF stuff open. There's WTFBins. Let me do a git pull just to make sure we have everything that we're supposed to have here. C. There's some changes to WTFBins. Let's do run build and run VS Code. Dev mode. And if we go to WTFBins GitHub, we'll see that there is a new one in the hopper. Which one? And an issue, rich text for WTFBin descriptions, which we've been talking about, and then suspicious characters in command line arguments for Ivanti Endpoint Manager. This is the new WTFBin, and this is the one where it was like, look how nice this write-up is. Right? Look how great this is. It was nice enough that I was like, oh, okay, I need to honor this by providing the capability to represent this in the WTFBin card. So plain text wasn't going to cut it. So here we are. Inline arguments for x's listed above occasionally contain fragmented. Right. All right, so how's our sim? Think of what's it doing? Oh, looks like we're good. Windows components. How do you do any of this? I mean, I'm not doing anything crazy. I still feel like it's a little magic that copy paste works. I know how it works, but like I still feel like it's a little magic that copy paste works over RDP. I don't know. I think that's really cool. It's just one of those things where, you know, you remember how hard this used to be. That doesn't really seem like a lot of information. I'm not gonna lie. I do not understand enough about this to do anything with it right now. But our disk configuration continues to be the issue here. Primary, extend true. I find myself saying that like 17 times a day. I mean, that's the way it goes in this industry, right? But this is a specifically frustrating thing. All right, best practices. When you get an error message, Google it. What are the common things that go wrong with disk configurations? Windows could not apply the unattend file. Hey, look, Packer Windows. Hooray! That looks familiar. PV-SCSI drivers are not included by default during the Windows installation. You need to load the drivers from VMware Tools. Driver paths. Simply change the driver in the answer file like SCSI IO. Missing files and read permissions. Looks like we have another one. I added disk controller type LSI logic SAS to the JSON file, and it seemed to work around the problem. Okay. Tonic Funk, thank you for the follow. What a great name. SCSI controller. The SCSI controller model to emulate can be LSI, LSI 53. And so what did it do? LSI logic SAS. Is that one of the options? Tonic Funk got here. You got here through the Fediverse? That's amazing. You're the first one to say so explicitly, and I'm excited that that's true. I am all in on the Fediverse. I am having a great time on Mastodon, and I think that folks here might enjoy it as well. All right. We'll give it a different SCSI controller. I mean, what's the default is the VirtIO SCSI. It was on March 29th of 2022. This is recent. Wow, so much deep knowledge here. If you hit Shift F10 in the Windows installer, you can use DiskPart to see if the installer can see your disk. Yeah, all right, I like that. We'll do that. I also do want to try this, though. Now that we have, like, a thing to try. So, what is this? We're going to do a SCSI controller. SCSI controller. Defaults to LSI. I really don't know what the differences are here. Now, is that sorry, is that in disks? No, it's not. It's its own thing. Let's just run Packer validate. Make sure that looks good. Okay. Ginger says clear. Do you mean like control? I don't know what you mean by clear. Are you a Scientologist? Have you achieved your next level? Notice that it still says VirtIO SCSI. I mean, ignore me. This is the terminal. Oh, I've been there. We've all been there. It's okay. I'm actually shocked I haven't seen like an ls-al ever show up in the chat. All right, Shift F10 in the Windows installer. Why is it at every turn this poor Linux guy is just beset by Windows nonsense trying to get this lab to work? I blame capitalism. So it just, like, ignored me entirely, right? Because the SCSI controller still says that, as opposed to... Oh no, that is VirtIO SCSI. So I just accidentally made it the same one. Okay. Shift F10. Disk part. Disk. Thank you. Well, that would probably be part of the problem now, wouldn't it? So interesting. Interesting. So it's saying VirtIO. LSI 53C. I don't think that's true that it's this. All right, we're gonna change this up. Both places. That is interesting. Okay, so yep, goodbye 115. That stops cleanly, at least. Okay, SCSI controller's LSI. Hard disk is SCSI, which is totally different from what we have over here, right? Hard disk shows whatever, but it shows the VirtIO SCSI. But for whatever reason, the auto on a 10 is not like that. So, well, in theory, we'll see what happens next. If that was the issue the whole time, well, at the very least, we learned a bunch about answer files. Is there anything we can kill here? Yeah, we don't need this anymore. Although I actually like that answer file generator, and it would be cool if it actually did work. Since it's chill code, hey Ginger, how's the Rust learning going? Well, crap. Your first reverse shell works. Congratulations. Unable to obtain the VM's IP address unless the VM has the virt IO drivers and QEMU agent installed. Alright. So we can't pick this up. Disks type. Okay, so what other disk types do we have? Type. SCSI, SATA, virt IO, or IDE. Can we try SATA? I did get a SATA. Alright, while this is starting up, let me get over here and go to View Markdown. Start getting toward a win here. Yep. Gonna just yarn add View Markdown here. It should be as simple as this, honestly. If we aren't doing Rusting at the moment, but if there are any other Python mains out there who want to try Rust, the first couple modules of Rust by example are pretty clutch, and the documentation error messages will help you carry you after that. Those are message 10 out of 10. Yes, that is true. And I have to tell you, They didn't used to be. The compiler error messages have gotten a bajillion times better in the last year or so. A little bit longer than that. They used to be less helpful, and now they're really quite good. Okay, now we have view markdown. So, WTFBin detail view. Check this out. This should be as simple as yeah, import view markdown. I think this is right. So we'll do import view markdown from at view markdown. Nope, not at. That's wrong. Not finding it, huh? View markdown. I will try NPI. So, because we're using TypeScript, a little bit tricky. I don't want to have to do a definitions file. That looks like it worked. Okay, so the way that I'm hoping this works is we're going to replace the down. Yeah. Oh, it hates that. Why does it hate that? Because it doesn't know what it is. Const before mount computed. State after any. Oh boy. Of course, it wasn't going to be that easy if you worked out TypeScript, because of course I chose to do this in TypeScript. Oh, wait, no. Types view markdown. Yeah, looks good. That actually should have been. Did I mean view markdown? I guess I did. Is that literally what it's called? No. I did mean this. Oh my god. View markdown. Yes. From view markdown. Yes. Okay. And then view dash markdown is what it should be. Is the component. Okay. Uh-oh. What's our problem? Some chunks are larger than 500 kilobytes. After modification, consider using dynamic import to code split the application. Use build.rollup options manual chunks to improve chunking. Adjust chunk size limit for this warning via build.chunk size warning limit. Ugh. What is going on here? View TSC, no emit, and Vite build. I gotta look at Vite for chunk size then. Thank you. How do I configure? There's a Vite.config. Build dot chunk size warning limit. Build. Chunk size warning limit. Oh, Taggart, you idiot. Run dev is how I get the live server. Uh-oh. This will only be when your dependencies or config have changed. Could not resolve Babel runtime core.js get iterator. Mark the path. It's external excluded from the bundle. Man. All right, back to the other thing I'm not succeeding at. Oh, it took too long. All right, one more time. You can mark the path Babel runtime core.js. Object keys is external. All right, let's just quickly Google for this error. I'm pretty sure I might end up having to just install Babel to deal with this, even though we're not using it. But we'll see what's up. Yeah, That's what I thought. npm I save dev. Yes! Finally, something working. Now, show me. There's no such WTF bin, huh? Ooh, uh-oh. Okay, they're definitely here. So we broke something in the build. But that's alright. Let's go to our 115. See if our disk does any better. Hey! A disk! Okay. Now what's gonna go wrong? Why is it rebooting? Did that happen before? I wonder what we screwed up in So it just reboots the setup, right? It doesn't actually solve any problems. So let's talk this out. The problem as we've identified it is that the disk cannot be installed. And the reason we found was something like, who was using the LSI Logic SAS, which isn't one of the ones that we saw was an option. But this is also for a different hypervisor, right? It's targeting a different hypervisor than we have, which is why that's different. Oh, yep, that died. Okay. Whoa. Okay, coming back over here to this problem. Let's see what we have going on here. So I'm trying to load the JSON, and it says Oh boy. Unhandled error during execution of before mount. WTF bin detail. At anonymous. So we're plainly getting the WTF bins. Okay, so view markdown is messing with us here. We have to view mark detail. This is the default slot. Watches show HTML image. Yeah. Okay, let's take a look at our code here. So we did view markdown, WTFBin.description. Okay, let's get rid of that and just put in some markdown here. Just to see if that part works. It sure doesn't. Okay, so that really wasn't the problem. Our problem is uncaught or unhandled error during execution before mount hook at anonymous home view. Unhandled error. This is like a view internals bug. That's what you want to see. Ian promise. There's okay, so type error. What are we looking at here? Do I need to do like a define props?
Everything's gonna be fine. It's just a crush.
Hi, sweetie.
I love you.
All right, so notice that this is a tag container, but this gives us this before mount type thing. I'm going to close VS Code and bring it back up just to see if there's any difference here. I don't imagine that there would be, but I want to know if it can maybe figure out what's going on here. If not, do you use Neon for hacking or boot another OS? If I'm doing actual like offensive stuff, I will do that in Kali. It's just definitely typed. Package type for review. Except, does it? This sucks. It's just any's. Hard boot Neon or Windows and run VM. I'm not sure what you mean, Nirloy. My host OS is Windows on this machine, and I do that because I want the GPU to have access, or I want OBS to have access to the GPU easily. And then I use Hyper-V for this Neon machine. But the other one that we were looking at here for Packer, this is running on the Proxmox Enterprise server. Okay, let's just confirm that it's the view markdown problem. Turn that into a paragraph again. JROS, what am I using for provisioning with Packer? Well, right now, nothing, because it's not working. But the idea is I want to have Packer build out VM templates onto Proxmox. That's what I want to have happen. I want it to build out these, which I can then access with Terraform. That's the plan. And I only want to use Packer every so often, like every 90 days, basically, to rebuild my Windows templates. Or when I need to build out like a new version of an Ubuntu template or something. Like Packer very rarely. And then everything else through Terraform. That's what I want to have happen. Okay. That's saved. Okay, yeah. It's definitely view markdown. Oh, God. Oh, a question to distract me from the molding. What do you think the logical next step from a SOC role would be, trying to get ideas for the future? Well, it depends on what SOC role you have right now. Are you a tier 1 analyst? Go to tier 2. Do you want to be a manager? That's cool. Do you not want to be a manager? Don't think about it as trying to climb a ladder, because I got to tell you, there's nothing at the top. I mean, there's more money, but like you won't win. Figure out what you want out of this field. What interests you? What are you passionate about? And by the way, if the answer is nothing, that's fine too. If you're just punching a clock and collecting a paycheck, that's okay. You do you. I would hope that you find some passion in your work, because I find that to be a fulfilling part of life. But if you're just trying to make ends meet and you're using this industry to do that, that's fine. But don't think about it as climbing a ladder, because there are a lot of like weird lateral moves in careers. It's not linear in any way, shape, or form. If you find yourself getting interested in defer, do it. If you find yourself getting interested in pen testing, go that direction. Use what you're passionate about as a guide, because if you can, because that is going to be what you will commit to and put in the hard work for. Seriously. And then, because I mean, tech pays well generally, right? It's not like you're gonna find one route that's overwhelmingly more compensated than another. Is Wireshark useful in this instance? No, I'm sorry to say that it is not at all useful in this instance. What we're doing, Bad Doggy, is we are in this in this window, we're writing TypeScript. So, and we're trying to debug why view markdown is giving me such a headache. I think that it is. I think it is like view markdown like this. I do. I know that it says that it isn't, but okay, it didn't like that either. We got it. It was just about the importing pathing. Let's see if we actually get some cool... I have no idea what this is going to look like. That didn't work at all. So, it's not rendering Markdown? Unless I have to do it like inside of a JavaScript expression? Nope. No, WTF, not that, WTF bin, just WTF bin, like that. Okay, well, view markdown is working, but what am I missing about this? Yeah, it says view, oh crap. That's not getting rendered. That's just showing up as like an element that the browser isn't interpreting. That's not actually doing anything. Okay, if I change that to view underscore markdown, I'm sure that I will resume having problems. Interesting. Well, it's still rendering. And then it turns into V object. Okay, I need to see an example of this thing being used. This is just the... After setting up the middleware in your view component above. Oh. Ah. Interesting. The dist folder contains viewmarkdown.js. Component exported into the window.viewMarkdown object. View.use viewMarkdown. No. Use the, okay, ES6 view CLI. After installing Yarn, use the following snippet in the script portion of the view component in which you used. Import view components. So if we look at our app, or main.ts, right? Create app. Oh man, I don't know if we're gonna be able to do this. Okay. But I have an idea to find an example. This is going to be a little bit funny. We're going to use grep.app to look for any project that has this in it. Yes! All right, now you're going to show me how this works. All right, so check this out. It says import view markdown. I had it right. It is capital. Import view markdown from view-markdown. So I'm going to go back to that. Don't try to tell me. View markdown. Yeah, fine. You can yell at me for right now. That's all right. You're allowed to do that. And I'm still getting errors. But let's take a look at what else we see here. See, view markdown source equals readme. So let's give it a source. And we'll get what? Well, but this is a different error. Create element is not a function. Is this a bug? No. Oh, that's gross. Okay, let's see if there's any other uses of this. So I just want to see view markdown in action in a TypeScript. Source equals source. So same deal. Import view markdown from view markdown. Static components, view markdown. So you shouldn't have to do this in the TypeScript in the what we're doing here, right? In the new version of this. February 3rd, though. Script lang equals TS. Well, we're doing script setup. What's your problem? Declaration expected. Yeah. No. Oh, because it's a component in here. Yeah, no. So part of our issue is the setup that we're doing here. Interesting. Nothing in here of use. 7 results. We're just going to search globally then. Of course I'm not signed in. Should be signed in here. A lot of view markdown here. Same deal, old school style. Okay. So it doesn't like source. It's got issues open. Okay. It's actually what we're getting. Dead project. Still doesn't have types, but maybe. Okay. That's annoying. This does have types, though. Look at that. Alright, that might actually solve our problem. One critical severity found. Okay. Whatever. Can I find a declaration file from module? But it does. If we go to node modules, adaptive, if you mark down dist, .com.js. Obviously. Or add a new declaration.d.ts file containing declare module adaptive view markdown. Ugh. Which it even has. Right? That's so annoying. This is new for me too. I've not had to do this, but a TypeScript dev dependencies at tsconfig, TypeScript compiler. What's our tsconfig look like? Include n.d.ts source. Okay. There's no way that works. No. Yeah, no, actually, that should work. Maybe. This is neither Python nor JavaScript. This is TypeScript. This import is never used as value and must use import type because import's not used as values. View markdown is declared, but its value is never read. Is that true? See, but this... Nope. Failed to resolve component, view markdown. If this is a native custom element, failed to resolve component, view markdown. If I do view dash markdown, I'm pretty sure I'm just going to get into the same situation that I had before, where this will render as failed to resolve component, view markdown. No, didn't have the same problem. Well, that didn't work. All right, failed to resolve component, view markdown. View TypeScript setup component. Which it is. Script setup. Here we go. Template also supports TypeScript and binding expressions when script lang equals TS or script setup lang equals TS. This is useful in case where you need to perform typecasting. Template expressions. Right, so the difference here is I do a define component, but here I don't. With the setup attribute. Which is what I've been using. Component indicator decorates the class. Right. Which we don't need to do because we've already done it. Okay. So we stopped getting this type error. Its value is never read. says import ref, not type. So I know what you're talking about. You're talking about import ref like this. This is not a ref. This is just a straight up type. So view markdown is declared, but its value is never read. If I do import view markdown, what happens? It says view markdown is declared. View markdown is a type and must be imported using type only imports when preserved value imports and isolated modules are both enabled. Okay. Except that it isn't that, right? So export default interface down. Class. Extends view dot component, or is it just view? Because we had extends view. No. Import view from view. Oh, this is interesting. So we are going to do the component here. Okay, and then come on, what's your problem now? Because now it's being used. That's interesting. Look at that. Now we're getting global is not defined. So we actually got it to resolve to the library. Okay, now that we're there, let's go back to our documentation here. See if there's something else. So browser globals. No. View components, view markdown, view markdown. I see. So that shouldn't be necessary because we can do view markdown like that. Why would we do this? Okay, new view components markdown. But we're importing view markdown here. So after setting up the middleware in your view component, use the embedded markdown. It's easy writing view markdown tags, which is default source string, the markdown source code, which we can also set up. The default slot only renders once at the beginning and will overwrite the prop source. All right, good to know. It just says any here. We go to our env source string. Yeah, it's looking right. So we fixed our type problem. All component options are allowed in here. Okay. Global. Is not defined. So what are we seeing here? This is the function that makes objects. God, this has a lot of requirements. And then global is not defined. Global is not defined. That did not solve the problem. Of course, why would it? View markdown.comment.js. God, this is annoying. But welcome to development. So we're in adaptive view markdown comment.js. What in the world? Hold on. E.global. God. Oh wait, this is in the dist. I don't want that. I want the source. I want view markdown.js. Thank you. Okay. Nothing. What about build? Component options tag. Tag view markdown. Oh, interesting. Look at that. Where it says export function install view options tag view markdown. So it does make a view.component view markdown component. And here's the new template div slot. Ah, interesting. Wait a minute. Can I just like reproduce this? It's probably a bad idea. Because why do that, right? Yeah, I think defining the type like this is essentially a bad idea. I'm short-circuiting the problem. Let's see if this thing has... It says it's actively maintained. I don't know if that's true. It has issues. Global is not defined. Okay. Looks like there are... This whole library, this whole thing is unusable by us because it's got bugs that have not been addressed. So... we're just going to pull this right back out and kill this. Turn this back into... Actually, you know what? Here. I'm going to do git reset hard head. And close this. Don't save. I'm going to back up. Great. Okay. So what other options do we have? Forget view. What else do we have to do markdown? Full-featured markdown parser and compiler written in TypeScript. Minimal usage. Install. Markdown save. Import marked. Console.log marks.parse. Why weren't we doing this? This is the... Here we go. Okay. Let's try this. So we're going to do npm install ts stack markdown save. And then boom. And then if this works the way that I hope it does, what I should be able to do is marks.parse WTFBin.description. So here marks.parse. Yes. And then just call it this div class equals MD. Markdown. Div. Oh, hilarious. Look at that. It's making it's turning it into a string. Oh, very funny. Interesting. Does Vue have filters? Oh, VHTML. Okay, cool, 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 cool. All right, well, we got something working tonight. What does that mean? So what that means is... for now, I actually don't want the markdown to be on the preview card. I want it to be on the detail card alone. And so... let's go back to our issue here. The one we have. Yeah, this is really good. This is a really good issue, right? So, Mika, we're gonna make a new WTFBins.json. So, make a new WTF bin here. I know it's simple, but... And by the way, for those of you who don't know what WTFBins is, go check it out. It's a project that I'm maintaining to document the weird binaries that aren't malicious, but do everything possible to look like they're malicious. Okay, so this is going to be Mika Babinski. And the name is going to be Ivanti Endpoint Manager. And this is where we have to be a little bit more creative with the description. It's not the cleanest thing in the universe, but it just happened to be a very long, very good description, and I wanted to honor it. And then we're going to just link this right here. Okay. Because he found, Mika found better evidence than any specific documentation. And then copy image address. It's going to be our image URL here. And so this is going to be Windows, Ivanti, and yeah, I think those are the two good ones here that make sense. Okay. Let's try to push that out. So get ST. So first thing we'll do is we'll git add source git add package git st git add, fine, we'll git add yarn.lock st git commit m add markdown parsing. Okay, and we'll push that to main, and then also git st git add WTFBins.json git commit m add WTFBin 16 git push. Now we're pushing to the main branch, which handles the WTFBins.json. But if we look at git branch, you'll see we have a netlify. So we're going to get check out to netlify, and we're going to git merge main. Okay. And then we're going to npm run build. And what that does is rebuilds the actual distribution. Right, git st, git add a, git commit m, rebuild 05 11. And the reason I do that is because this is what pushes the new code to netlify. Okay. Netlify is set up to watch that repository for that branch. So coming back over to main, let me rerun our dev here just to see if it's looking good. So one thing I need to do is I need to create like a preview value for each of these so that the card here looks better. But look how good this looks now. Oh, it worked. Hooray. Look at that. That's so much better, right? We're able to do rich text on these cards. That's really nice. And look at that. There's a code. So now I can use CSS to style this in a little bit more of a detailed way. But this is like a good start. So it took us all night, but we got there. I think on that success, we will end. So let's see. Is there anybody else streaming right now? Nope. So I think we will just call it a night, friends, and let you go on your merry way. I will be back on Saturday doing some blue team stuff. Thank you so much for hanging out. I know I learned a lot, and I appreciate all the help that you provided. Yeah, but I'll be back on Saturday, 10 a.m. Pacific. Until next time, please be good to yourselves, be good to each other, and happy hacking. We'll see ya.